Welcome to Clean Plates, where every bite tells a story. I'm Brian Romain, joining you on a culinary journey to understand the whys behind our diets and desires. Welcome to Clean Plates, the show where every bite tells a story. Today, my guest is Bryce Brenton. He's the owner of Frank's Butcher Shop, which is a family-grown business based in Wyoming. Bryce, how are you today?
I'm so good. How are you, Brian?
I'm good. Things are rocking and rolling. I am so excited to have you on today.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. So tell the audience a little bit about your family's business.
Yeah, for sure. So we operate Frank's Butcher Shop. So what we do is we have a cattle operation, we have a processing facility, and we have retail outlets for that. So we're a full ranch to table, farm to table style butcher shop that offers a bunch of different like retail cuts and steaks and ground beef and all the options to people at our physical location. And we have our online store, so we ship nationwide doing that as well.
That is so wonderful. It's such a lost art to see it these days because people are so used to going to any proverbial grocery store, picking up a steak, and going home and cooking it, not really realizing where it's coming from. There's a huge disconnection with people and their food these days, and I see it in all walks of life. Now, I understand that we all live in a newer age society, so it's not just having the convenience of having a lot of folks like you around, but what you're doing and being kind of the forefront of it, and especially having the connections you're making right now is really important. And I'm really thankful that you're around.
Oh, no, thank you. Like at the end of the day, I mean, it's just people who are just like you who want to kind of know where their food comes from is exactly the whole reason why our business works. And it just another byproduct of that is just it happens to just be like a really delicious product as well that is, in my opinion, way superior than kind of like what you can get even from more of like a standard factory farm, like grocery location. So, no, I love it. It's been a journey, and we're still on it, so it's still fun. But yeah, no, I completely agree. Like people definitely need to know where the food comes from. It's such a big disconnect in society right now. I think it's getting better, but that's still a hot button topic that people really need to dial in on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, when I was a butcher in 2022, it really opened my eyes of where cattle comes from, what local means, what different stickers mean on different packages of meat, and how that can be affected as far as it coming from multiple sources. As far as ground beef, you're not realizing that this one package of ground beef might have more than one cow in it, which is kind of astonishing if you ask me.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's insane. It's just like, I mean, a perfect example is like, JBS is a major conglomerate. They're a Brazilian-owned company, and they have a huge meat packing facility actually in Greeley, because that's in like your neck of the woods.
Of course.
And they process anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 head a day there. And so just in order for the production of that, it just kind of puts into perspective on kind of where your meat's coming from and how are they doing that. And then, yeah, if they're turning a bunch of ground beef over, you're telling me they're too big to really separate and differentiate each animal out like that. And so, yeah, it's just kind of crazy, just what industry does.
Yeah, it's sad. I see the trends in all sorts of different branches, but again, what you're doing is really important work. So how has working with cattle and beef influenced your overall relationship with your food?
Oh, dude, it's been revolutionary, probably. Like there has just been a huge connect. So I think it helped. I kind of got into like my kind of upbringing a little bit to help you on that. So I was just born kind of more of like a city kid in Wyoming, from a town of like 70,000 people. And then when I was in college, we acquired this ranch and um, started cattle ranching. So I had no education on any sort of how ranching works or raising cattle or pretending to be a cowboy, like is what I like to call it. And then to just kind of go through that in full scope. And then later on, our family just develops this whole butcher shop outlet for the cattle that we have on our ranch. It just really comes full circle into understanding like just kind of how things are made and the whole process of just walking into the grocery store and buying a pack of ground beef or something like that. It really makes it more so not only are like it makes you feel more proud of what you're feeding people, what you're feeding yourself, what you're putting into your body, but also just because you understand the whole time and effort and care and all the things that go into raising cattle effectively and healthy and sustainably in order to create this product in which we're putting out to the world. So my relationship with food on that has just been tremendously increased. Yeah, I mean, I would argue it's like equating. It's just like gardening. When you have a very successful garden and you harvest everything, just not the way in which it makes you feel, on top of how awesome it tastes, is just a really satisfying. It just makes you feel so satisfied at the end of the day, and makes your connection with food like you care about it. You want to preserve it in natural, positive ways, like canning and all these different dishes and everything to just really utilize and get the most out of what you're using. And so I really feel like that's the true essence of just like cooking in general is, using all the things, don't let anything go to waste. And that's really kind of where, it's almost like a primitive instinct. It feels like, to not let things go to waste because you put so much time and care into everything. So it's really enhanced my relationship with food, and I've been digging it. It's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you must have a lot of memories that are connected to the ranch life, beef, and growing up around people who truly care about their food.
Oh, 1,000%. Like that, 1,000%. I mean, just because we operate our like boutique processing facility, it's a USDA processing facility, but we do like 60 a week as opposed to 6,000. And so even the ranchers that we get to interact with, because we process for all these other ranchers as well. It's not just Frank's Butcher Shop. And just seeing all the hard work and care that goes into all the different beef that we hang for people, and just you can just see the grit, the genetics, all of it just in the culture of the whole industry in which I'm in, to just be, and it's a pretty supported industry in my opinion. Everyone's just, because I truly believe I don't necessarily care where you buy your meat at. What I care about is you understand where your meat's coming from, and is it supporting a local rancher or your local economic area in which you're at, or how it is, as opposed to just kind of not being as blinded going into the ground, going into the grocery store and buying some imported something from, and you don't even know what's in it. And so that's what I really care about. And so the relationship with that, and just seeing the pride from all these ranchers and these people come in to just essentially show off their product, because we're the butchers, right? So they want to like talk to us about how their product's cutting, how ours is doing, all the meat talk, everything. It's a fun journey for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember talking to a gentleman named Clint Buckner, who owns Buckner Family Ranch out here that borders Longmont and Boulder. But he was telling me at one point that the local sticker could mean it's 8 hours away or less. So I just remember kind of like being stumped by the fact that if it says I'm local, that it's not actually, like, it could be hours and hours away from, where you're standing at in the grocery store. So it just made me really think about, how can I make these connections deeper? How can I just support what's around me? Because it actually makes me feel better to eat the more localized product than to just kind of go willy nilly and get whatever.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that goes to the cool laws is what it's called. It got established in 2015. And so basically what the cool laws are, it's a country of origin labeling. And so it's like a whole law set that is based around where you can get your product and what the actual sticker says of the product. And so, I mean, I think it's kind of funny right now. It's just timing of everything kind of exposing, kind of what our presidential administration's doing with all of the
Yep.
things right now. It's exposing a lot of kind of where money and everything's coming from and how it's going. But anyway, going back to the cool laws,
I'm with you on that though.
yeah. And so it's basically the gist of it is saying that as long as it's packaged in the United States, it can be called a product of the United States. And so, meaning I can have, so going back to JBL, like I was talking about, they are a Brazilian owned company, and they import a lot of their beef, but they have actually three major packing houses, Colorado, Nebraska, and Texas. And as long as they pack them in the United States, they are now a product of the United States, even though the cattle, the genetics, the feed supplies, what's going into them, even like, let's just talk about organic for a sec. Let's come back to that. Organic only means in the United States. Our third party regulation only applies to the United States. So to be called organic in Brazil could have a completely different set of guidelines to be called whatever it is. And so that they were organically raised, and then they come and process it in America and call it a product of the United States, and now it's certified organic. So it's just, yeah, the cool laws, in my opinion. They tried to reform them last year, and they're kind of in the process of that. And I'm kind of curious to see what RFK Jr. does about any of those kind of laws. But I dig that guy. I think he's going to do some great work for
I agree.
This whole industry of labeling and just understanding where food comes from. I think that's his whole thing that he's running on is, the healthy and making sure we're getting things out of our food that isn't killing us.
Yeah. Having those deeper relationships with the products that mean something, the things that are going to help us as opposed to hurt us, things with less chemicals, more simple ingredients. It's pretty straightforward of what we should be eating versus what we are being fed. And so, or, put it in the stores to be bought. I can assume that working with all of these animals so closely and learning how to break them down in a more traditional, way, because you are coming from a line of butchers and folks that care about the processing of this cattle. So I can assume you probably have some favorite cuts or things that you just really like eating on a daily basis, as far as chuck or lower loin, or how does that work for you? Is it kind of like structured every day, or do you just kind of like, oh, I'm feeling this, so I'll eat what?
Yeah, it's funny because we own a butcher shop, and
Yeah,
I have a freezer full of everything. But I actually buy product all the time and try all these different cuts all the time because I need to see the consistency of our cattle throughout
Of course.
each herd and everything. And so, now some of my favorites are actually a flat iron steak and a skirt steak. Those are like some of my two tops. I think they rival like a ribeye and a fillet. They are, especially a flat iron, just the amount of flavor. The flat iron's actually under the shoulder, under the scapula. You get two of them on a half, so you only get four on a whole beef. And they are, for the price of them, comparatively to what that cut is, it is just phenomenal. You can put it in anything. You can have it as a steak. Typically, when I have like people over for dinner or whatnot, and I want to show them all these different steaks, I do a skirt steak, a flat iron, a ribeye, and a fillet. And if you slice them up and put them on like a charcuterie board style, right? And it's hard for people to pick a favorite because that's how high quality the skirt steaks and the flat irons are, because people don't know if it's better than a ribeye sometimes. And so it's just, just finding these unique cuts that really go with, if you understand like the whole history of food and the culture of food, and understanding why these cuts are even like cheaper and whatnot comparatively to ribeyes and fillets and, your more streamlined mainstream premium cuts and things like that. You can really like dive in and have like a fun culinary journey on that. It's really, and that's what I've been doing. So we just kind of, I've tried every one of our products. I've had to make dishes from like, going from like the shanks and ossobuco to, practicing steak sauces and things after I, cooking all these ribeyes different ways and everything like that. That way, to really get a grasp on how people are taking it home and cooking it and seeing what people are liking to do, and understanding our product from a consumer standpoint is, I think, so important. And so understanding how to cook and what people are doing with our products, and kind of that way we can talk to them when they come into the stores and things like that. That makes it just supreme. I love that.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I used to break down shoulder as one of my jobs. So I love flat irons. I love pounding out skirt steak and making tacos with it. It's absolutely king when it comes to kind of the underdog of meats, because like you said, people are always going to float towards the New York strip, the, ribeyes, thinking that those are the just unspoken winners, no competition. But I think that there's a lot of other cuts that, like you said, just totally rival in the quality, because especially when you're talking about grass-fed, grass-finished beef, there's just no comparison.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, yeah, and even on that, like there's it's funny, like the markets, right? Just in general, like where you're at and location. So grass-fed, grass. So we have both products, right? So we have a grain-finished product and a grass-finished product. And
That's smart.
what's fun, yeah. In my opinion, it's a completely different product. It's a completely different venture in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for the folks that don't really know, like grass finished, grass fed, a lot more keratins in the fat. It makes it healthier. It really amplifies beefiness of the flavor profile on the grass finished side. On the grain finished side, there's a lot more fat in it, and so fat is flavor in the beef world, and so there is. The flavor profile of that is completely different than what you're doing for your grass finished product, right? So it'd be the equivalent of like, it's just like your intentions on what you're trying to do, right? So if you're wanting to just have people over and have them have a really high quality, awesome, robust flavor, you're a restaurant trying to buy products to, have a luxury mouth feel to it, that's a grain finished product. If you are trying to have your ground beef every day, because that's what you eat because you're on some sort of carnivore diet, or if you are, just trying to do it for health benefits and just kind of live a little bit healthier, quote unquote, lifestyle. The grain fin product's not horrible, but the grass finished product is way better for you on that. Does that kind of make sense? And so, like I said, it's not an equal comparison to compare the two, and that's why we have both. Because going back to the markets, people around here really like the grain product. That is like kind of our bread and butter, so to speak, comparatively to grass. And it's funny, the online side of things, the grass does a lot better.
Yeah, comparatively, I can totally see that, as well as that's something I would talk to people about all the time when I was a butcher, is that there's exactly what you just explained in the two sheer differences in the profiles. And, I can't knock some people for coming in and actually being honest and saying, look, I actually like the flavor of grain finished beef, because I understand there's the very black and white image for some people of being like, well, I only eat grass-fed, grass-finished beef because X, Y, Z. And then some people just kind of don't, they don't care like internal, like as like a, F you to the system or something like that. But some price point, feeding families, flavor profile, like you just said, with it being a fattier kind of richer a little bit, on the flavor. So I can understand where people were coming in. And again, being honest and just saying, look, this is what I like. So I can't really buy anything here because they're not really used to seeing the price points of grass-fed and finished products. So I think that's great that you guys do both, because from the conversations that we even had before this and now, it seems like you guys are at least taking the time to source proper grains to finish the cattle with versus some of the conglomerates you were speaking about earlier that probably just are feeding all sorts of crap to them just to finish it, get it on a date, get it processed, and who cares?
Yeah, so like a perfect example of that would be, so we live in Wyoming. It's not as sunny as Colorado. It's just a little colder. And so from that, we get a lot of snow as well. And so in our feedlots, for example, our biggest feedlot that we're in is permitted only for 2,000 head. And that the permitting process of a feedlot has a lot to do with the EPA and all these different things that are factored into it. But basically 2,000 for roughly like a quarter, for like 3-month cycles, how many can be in there. And so our max capacity at that feedlot entirely is, because we're a unique program in the sense of we're a year-round program, right? Because we're finishing. So typically what a feedlot like business model would be around here is they background cows, meaning they get them ready to get pregnant, get them healthy, get them all in the stuff. They feed pregnant cows during the winter because a lot of ranchers pull them off. And so that's kind of the model. Our model is way different than that because we are actually doing not cows, but steers. And we're trying to get them to be to finishing weight and things like that. So we're around 500, and we're kind of capped essentially on that, because that's all that he can produce from his farms that he has. So he grows all of his own feed supplies and turns it into silage and whatnot for all the feedlots. So yeah, where we're at and where we're operating, specifically at our Riverton location, he grows all the product that he supplies our cattle and everything. So it's pretty remarkable in the sense of because how do you do that to scale? Going back to that large conglomerate, 50 to 60,000. If you go to visit some of these crazy feedlots, they're permitted for 50,000 head at a time. And so, yeah, exactly. How do you grow enough feed that you own? You're going to need 500,000 acres, to do that. And so it just, it's just an interesting the way the economics. If you think about the economics and the business models of things, I think it helps you understand kind of where people are doing things better. And so I think the smaller, a little bit more boutique, they can control things a lot more. They can grow things a lot more. They can do a lot more with less, is kind of the more route that people should go, in my opinion. And whether that's us, that's great. But if it or another rancher, because it's at the end of the day, it's all pretty similar in the sense of the small guys. I'd categorize us as like a small guy in the industry, and I think you just get a better product doing it. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're buying, right? You're buying a product. You would like it to taste good. You'd like it to be nutrient dense and feed your body and feed your family and feed whatever you need to be. And I think you get that just way better from the small folks.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about on the phone, voting with your dollar. It's huge. It's a concept that a lot of people don't really think about all the time because there's, such a large society of people that support so many different businesses these days, whether you're working on your own business or you work for somebody and you are just a busy person and you do wake up every day and you are one of those people that goes straight to Starbucks or straight to, ABC, whatever. And you're voting with your dollar because you're supporting these companies these larger ones that are giving you a product that could be, well executed, or it could just be something that's pumped and dumped. And it's just, you don't understand that you are putting yourself in this position to make you're backing yourself into a very unhealthy corner. And then people get to an older age, quote unquote. I'm 34 and I have so many of my friends around me that are trying to reverse the choices that they've been making for so long because they're now realizing that it's catching up to them and it's really affecting their everyday life, their function of their bodies. And, whether that's, a substance, that's a whole other podcast, but like, or just food, even just food. I've really seen it be a prime example with a lot of my friends that they're now realizing that the food they've been eating is not doing anything for them and they need to step up their game or they need to start educating themselves on other, I don't know, I guess how that's going to play out for them, what that maps out for them, because everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different way of looking at it. Everybody has a different box they have to put it in to eat. So I just look at it as like, the more we have these conversations, the more that we get educated by folks, we're going to be able to get stronger, kind of just like any repetition of anything, that if you keep going back to it, you keep really putting in the time, you're going to see results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, food's poison, man. It definitely can be, depending on where you get it, what you're putting into your body. It is I mean, go read a label of something. Like that is crazy. Like how many preservatives and just junk and chemicals and all the things that are just in our food on a daily basis. And so, and even like, even like ground beef even has some of that. They use like water fillers and artificial dyes and colors to maintain the color and things like that. And some major conglomerate, that way they can sell the product faster and just, yeah, it's poison sometimes, man. And what's crazy. That's like what it is. It's damaging your body on things that you put into it. And so, I just like going back to the whole just societal change and coming up and people really wanting to know where their products come from. I think it's a like whole revolution around health to an extent. Just caring and caring about what you're putting into your body. And at the end of the day, that means caring about yourself. So I think I think kind of what's happening, and we feel the change of just being in this industry of kind of what people are really wanting to care about and understand is a good one. It's really positive for just growth and development of folks. And yeah, it can be more pumped to just be a part of it, and just kind of see that in everyone's individual journeys along the way. Like the amount of people that have came in and be like, yeah, I've been on the carnivore diet, blah, blah, blah. And I've lost so much weight and all these things. And how I've had folks tell me with like skin diseases that our product has helped them. In addition to all the other things, I'm not saying our product cures skin diseases or anything, but just they see the differences in, more of an artificial product comparatively to, more of a naturally raised what we do. And so it couldn't be more pumped to just kind of see that. And like you're saying, everybody's journey is a little bit different. So just pumped to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are pumped that you're there, being on the forefront of everything, as well as I'm sure that there's a lot of other people around you, like farmers and other, producers of organic goods that are in the same mindset as you, that probably shop at your stores, and then, you get to have these conversations with them as well.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, like I've always said, I don't actually consider ranchers or anything like that competition per se. I think the idea of competition is kind of dumb at this level, because we're, like I said, still in the small boutique level. And basically it comes down to, because there's plenty to go around, in my opinion. And that's me coming from a small town in Wyoming. You know what I mean? I think there's plenty to go around. I couldn't imagine what the world looks like, right? And so that being said, it's just going back. Yeah, I think the more important thing is what I really truly care about is, these people who care about where their food comes from. And people need to just know that, know where your food comes from, whether it's the broccoli you get in a bag from Walmart that might have listeria in it, and comparatively to you go to your local farmer's market and understand the whole idea and the process of agriculture that took to develop that crop. And now it's on your plate, and any spectrum of food. I think it's important to do that, to understand how crazy it is to have like saffron at the grocery store all the time, or any sort of commodity like that, it's actually pretty remarkable in terms of the society in which we live in and how the grocery store operates and works. And people are so disconnected from that idea. They just expect it to be there all the time. COVID was a great example of how, for example, that major processing facility was shut down for a few months. So think about how that impacts cattle production and impacts how meats at the grocery store are not. And that societal change for people to not understand where their food comes from kind of is a little bit mind-blowing, in my opinion, that we're so disconnected. And like at the end of the day, we're just trying to get connected, baby, just trying to bring in the love.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. Speaking of connection, have you been able to develop deeper connections with other farmers and ranchers alike in this same mindset then?
Oh, 1,000%. So like our herd, for example, up at our ranch can only supply an X amount of the time year, or of the whole year. Because once again, we're a whole year round operation. We don't just process everything in June when our cattle come up. So we have to actually source for the other parts of the year and everything. So we actually partner with a lot of our neighbors up at our ranch, and other partnerships that we've developed along the way to help really develop a whole year-round connection to where we have cattle in our system all the time developing in, because it just doesn't make sense to do it off of one herd, because if one herd is calving only at one time a year, by the time that animal's mature, it's going to be over. It's going to be more stressed. It's going to be too overweight and everything by the time spring comes around or something like that. So it'd be better to just get fall calving ones, and to have a fall and a spring crop at our ranch just economically doesn't make sense for us. So, but our neighbors can do that. And so we really partner with our neighbors and things like that too, and other connections we've made throughout the state, all from the state of Wyoming, to really grow our supply chain on that. So it's been awesome to connect with these people who kind of have the same dream and vision that we do, and essentially get to be able to partner with them is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that must be music to your ears. I mean, it's just people on the same page wanting to help, as well as people understanding that you are the one piece of the puzzle. And if they just fit in to the other piece, then it's all going to be one hand washes the other. It's a great system. And I think that's amazing that there's other people out there that are supporting your vision, supporting your quest to truly help people, as well as it really seems like you have a clear definition of what quote unquote good food is, what real food is. And it seems like your cattle and the businesses around you and or, your partners or the people that are helping you out also understand this vision to a full effect.
Oh, 1,000%. There's so much that goes into how we want to raise all of our cattle and how we want to just from even the start of raising them all the way to where I'm talking to a customer and they have a selection in front of me, the amount of care that is taken on that. And so we don't take that lightly by any means. And so it's pretty amazing to see that these other ranchers are kind of attributing to that in a capacity, because I mean, cattle prices are the best that they've been in a long, long time, especially from the time that we've been doing this. The last 5 years has been not COVID year, but after COVID, the cattle prices have literally been the highest they've been in like 50 years. And so not as awesome from the buyer standpoint, but it's worth it. They're taking the chance on us as opposed going to the sale barn where they're just going to get sold into another feedlot that they're going to produce for factory farm, like in a factory commercial setting, get shipped off to where all the corn's at in, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska area, packaging and mass produced. They're saying, hey, these guys are coming in and trying to buy our cattle, and we don't even have to worry about going to the sale barn. They're giving us a price, and it's going to be market price. And so for them to kind of, so like a scratch our back, scratch your back model, but at the end of the day, they're still willing to do that. And, to get a rancher who's been doing it for 4 generations to change how they sell their cattle is a big deal, in my opinion, because that's the way they've always done it, right? And so for them to change that and gamble on us year after year for the last 4 years, it's been a humbling journey for sure. That's probably the best way to put it, that they believe in what we're doing enough to where they're taking their investment of their livelihood and putting it into us as well. So yeah, no, I completely agree. Like it's a something we really care about, because we're really prideful on what we do and our product that we put out. And so we can't, and not every ranch fits with what we're trying to do either. We only take the premium genetics. We only like, certain weights depending on times of years and things like that, calving cycles. And so not every puzzle, because if I need only this type of puzzle piece, not every ranch can fit in that puzzle piece. Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely. It truly does. I think that that's a smart way to look at it. And you guys are really doing the legwork to make sure that everything from growing the cattle, processing it, to, like you just said earlier, standing in front of the customer and, educating them on the beef. Because at the end of the day, it seems like that is the forefront of what you're really doing, is you're educating people. You're helping them understand where their beef comes from, and then you're able to put that into this business model that therefore people feel comfortable about going into your shop. I remember you telling me on the phone that customer care and customer service is the number one aspect of your business.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that is especially, a small startup shop that's a boutique that's in the region of grocery stores. I got to get people to come to my place, and they're only going to do that if they understand what we're doing. And so that is our primary business model, is just to educate our customers. We actually had in our training program, we don't even talk about sales. We talk about education. Because we want to educate all of our customers on just what products are, what we do, and just everything we've really been just even talking about. This whole podcast is essentially what we want to portray to every customer that walks in the door, that, hey, our product's different because we're trying to tell you where it's from and what we do and how we do it. And these cuts are this, and they're cooked great on this way, and etc. You don't get that at a traditional grocery store. And so that's going to be also why you come in here, not only because the product's better, it's better for you. You understand where it's coming from, but you also have educated folks that can really help you out. And by the end of the day, you're learning something. And now it doesn't matter if you leave the store and go shop somewhere else. You know what to look for in a ribeye now. You know how to choose cuts. You know what kind of stickers and what kind of labels you should be looking for in order to have an equivalent product or not. And that's at the end of the day, because it's pretty, I think it should be almost common knowledge, a handful of different things in the meat industry. And a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people don't understand that. And so that's just what I feel like our job is to just educate people on meat, because at the end of the day, if you're getting educated on where your meat comes from, how a store does something, who knows, that might stem into, oh, what about vegetables? Hey, what about all their fruits? What about all these different things? And then at the end of the day, now you have a way better relationship with your food in terms of where all your products and all of your food that you're getting comes from. And I think that once again is like the most important thing for just like the consumer. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that you love educating people. I love that you love having these conversations that are based around these, not like small boxed things, but the simple idea of just, it doesn't take long to explain to somebody about just eating locally. It takes longer to explain to somebody how heavily processed food is made than it does for you just to simply explain, look, this is the cattle. I grew it. It's here. I can tell you what it ate. That's it. As in, not being coy or dry with people. For obviously, sure. There's love and all this great bounded education and story, tied up with it. But at the end of the day, it's a lot simpler to wrap your mind around simple eating. I think it just isn't as convenient, and you have to cook it, and it doesn't just come out of a box, go into the oven, and you're done. So for people, that's I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people out there where that's just like too much work. That's too much energy. That's too much. They're already so disconnected that trying to connect now is just kind of a lost cause. But hey, at the end of the day, at least we can try. We can, put these kinds of conversations out into the stratosphere. And I know that this is going to hit with multiple people. I truly think that these types of conversations are just so necessary.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, there's such a we talked about competition a little bit, and what I preach to my staff and everything is, man, we cannot control what other people are doing and what our quote unquote competition is doing. All we can focus on is what we do. And so if we do what we do right and how we want to do it, then it'll speak volumes for itself later. And so, I mean, that's kind of the equivalent of what you're talking about. Like, yeah, we can only concentrate on what we're doing, especially being so small. And so let's just focus and do what we do well, and then I can't control whether or not people want to go buy, fake products and filler ground beef and dyed and all this stuff. All I can control is what I'm doing. So let's focus on that and go about educating and doing all the things. And at the end of the day, it's fun. It's fun to chat with people, especially about meat. People love to talk about meat all the time. How they're cooking it. If you get the brisket guys and gals that come in and they just want to talk about smoking briskets all day long, it's not only like where you're getting it from, but it's also like people, just food in general, right, has a just bonding capacity to it, especially when you cook for other people. And so people want a product that's delicious, that they know is going to turn out phenomenal. And so to come here, you're getting that. It just enhances the whole mood of your dinner, or your lunch, or your gathering, whatever you're doing to feed the people. It's just like a fun step a part of that whole journey of just like taking care of people at the end of the day, you know?
Couldn't have said it better myself. You know, it even at such a younger age, because you're in your early to mid 20s, you know, I really think that what you're doing now is so generationally important that it's gonna, you know, far exceed and expand through your lifetime. And what you're, again, like I said from the beginning of the podcast, what you're doing is really important, and you should be given your proper flowers.
Well, I appreciate it, Brian. That's sweet of you.
Of course, man.
Nice.
You know, it seems like you guys got it dialed in. Seems like you guys are just going to be continuing to crush in your own right throughout 2025.
Yeah, I hope so, man. It's we're excited for this year. We got a lot of fun things planned, so really excited.
Anything you can share now, or we'll just keep it up?
Yeah, we're actually launching a quarter beef program for the online store. So at this point, we haven't really had any sort of like quarter beef or anything like that available, and so like that's not only can you get individual cuts and things like that from the online store, but this quarter beef package will be, I think it's like just the perfect product and size to help like fill people's freezers and stuff that don't have necessarily a huge deep freeze, or they have a lot, maybe a smaller one. And the quarter beef for a family and things like that is just, I think it's going to crush. And we're actually going to launch it this week. So it comes out tomorrow. So that's fun.
Hey,
so, yeah.
All right. I love that. Well, tell people where they can find you, where they can follow your journey, where they can continue to support you or begin to support you for that matter. Where can they find you?
Yeah. franksbutchershop.com is our online store. We have all of our products on there. We have all of our store information, store locations, things like that. You can ship it directly to your house from that website. We're on social medias. We're on Facebook, Instagram, just Frank's Butcher Shop online is what it's called. Since we have physical locations, we have to say the online at the end. You can follow our Casper store, all of our Hudson store. But yeah, that's kind of where we post everything on there, kind of what's happening at the stores and all the information and everything like that. All the education.
There you go. Yeah, so go out, go find Frank's Butcher Shop, folks. Support Bryce and his family. I think it'll be well worth your voted dollar, if you want to put it that way. But Bryce, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been beyond a pleasure having you on. I'd like to have you on again in the future and just continue growing a relationship. And I myself will be supporting your beef and Frank's Butcher Shop and all things alike. I cannot wait to just continue to grow a general friendship with you.
Yeah, likewise, Brian. And I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, folks, thank you so much today for joining us. And always remember to keep your plates clean and your hearts full. Thank you for joining me today on our flavorful journey here at Clean Plates. If you enjoyed our exploration into the world of food and the stories behind our eating habits, be sure to subscribe where you get your podcasts. And don't forget to share your own food stories on my personal page at Brian Waterleaf or the Clean Plates podcast page on Instagram. And remember, every plate has a story and we are here to discover them together. So stay curious, keep exploring, and continue to nurture your relationship with food. I'm Brian Romain, and until next time, keep your plates clean and your hearts full.